all we came to be happy again.
Hey everybody, Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records. I found out about someone that had a record collection they wanted to sell, and I ended up buying it from them. I thought I would show it to you. First of all, what are we listening to? This is, of course, you should all recognize, well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us recognize Merle Haggard there. And this is That's the Way Love Goes. Beautiful, beautiful record. Actually dug this out of a one-room schoolhouse where people had been putting stuff they didn't know what else to do with for many, many years. And I got this and one other record out of there a couple of weeks ago. But it plays pretty good. Cleaned it up. It's not bad. It's a VG. No better than a VG. But boy, you talk about a spokesman for a generation. This is really the middle-aged man's Merle Haggard. I mean, this is not for teenagers. This is for people who have experienced life a little bit. And just a beautiful album from his middle period. I guess this was from the early '80s, something like that. I hadn't looked it up though. But anyway, I got a text last night from a friend of mine. I don't do Facebook. I think it's toxic, so I don't do Facebook. But my friend sent me a screenshot of someone that said they had about 125 70s and 80s, mostly classic rock albums that they wanted to sell as a lot, not individually. And it turns out I knew who the person was and went out there today and looked them over, and we ended up settling on a price, and I took all of them. So I'm going to show you a few of the highlights. There were no real surprises in this collection of records. It was the usual suspects, classic rock type stuff, most of which will go over to my table at the antique shop to sell. I've either got all these records already back here, or it's not something I'm that interested in having. You always hope you're going to find that original first issue mono Beach Boys Pet Sounds in near mint condition, but those are very few and far between. So the records were in very good condition. They weren't these people's record collection, actually. The man and his wife he's a cabinet maker, and he had worked down a trade years and years ago with someone. They traded some guns and some records and some equipment for work for him to do, and they just been sitting there, and his wife put them on Facebook to see if they could sell them. So they were almost all in really good condition. Of course, you know how that goes. The ones that you really, really want the most are the ones that aren't in really good condition. That's how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few of what I found. Some, I guess they call them highlights. And then I'll just flip through. I'll flip through the rest of them. Ended up being 128 records, I believe. Okay. You Do It Now. Anybody remember this series? Do It Now. And this has got 20 giant hits. And how do they cram 10 songs on each side? Well, the pressing quality isn't as good, I guess, because you're compressing everything so much. The sound's not going to be good. But this has got everything from the Beatles to Melanie. It's got Mel and Tim doing Backfield in Motion. It's got Jefferson Airplane doing Somebody to Love. Janis Joplin, Down on Me. Buffalo Springfield's on here. The Byrds are on here. Eric Burden, Donovan doing Sunshine Superman. And the Ides of March doing Vehicle. I've been looking for the Ides of March album with Vehicle on it. but this will have to do until I end up finding their actual album. Okay? Not that there's anything specifically valuable about that record. It's just a neat little record, you know. Don't know who this is, but the cover looks so nice. John Klemmer, Klemmer, Brazilla. Isn't that cover beautiful? And I think this is kind of maybe, I'm guessing this is maybe a new age record. It came out in 79, so could very well be a new age. Maybe it's jazz, but I think maybe it's new age. Anybody know this artist? Let me know. And I think it may actually be a compilation of things. All right. When I saw Buddy Guy recently, he had a special guest that day, Eric Gales. This is Eric Gale. Not the same person, I'm 99% sure. He doesn't look anything like the guy, but this is from a long time ago. And the Eric Gales, blues guitarist, plays a right-handed guitar, left-handed upside down, I believe. And he looks like he's playing it conventionally. I don't know. Anybody know anything about Eric Gales? Let me know. See a little damage here. But that wasn't typical of the records. Almost all the records were good shape. Now here's an RCA Victor, and there were several of these, but this is just one to use as an example. You know, these were very old because they're, I didn't look it up, but they're just before or just after 33 and thirds came out, I believe, because it's a Bluebird classic on an RCA Victor, and there's 3 or 4 that are like this, different symphonies. Brahms variations on a theme by Handel, Philharmonic Orchestra with Igor Markovichka conducting, and that's what's on one side of it. Those, do you ever notice those real old ones? I think they're real deep groove or something. As old as they are, and sometimes they look kind of rough because they're so old and everything, but they end up playing really, really well oftentimes. And, you know, here's another classical. I get some classical sometimes. Beethoven Symphony No. 5, Egmont Overture, the London Symphony Orchestra, and this is on London Treasury label. And there were, you know, a half dozen or so classical records in there. And then there's always the oddity you enjoy seeing. Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, you know, that scared everybody half to death thinking the aliens had invaded. There's Orson. You know, I've had one of these before. It's not especially valuable by any means, but just neat. It's not about how much something's worth, it's how neat it is to you. Okay? Here's an example. Most of these records are in such good condition, but this one's not, and this is the one I would just love to have a pristine copy of. Smilson. But it's taped together. Condition of the vinyl on all these records looks very good. Well, I say all of them. There's a handful of them that maybe not, maybe 5 or 10 that aren't in such good shape. And of course, what doesn't come with a jacket? Of course. But maybe I can find somebody that's got a trashed vinyl, but the jacket is in good condition and I can Frankenstein it. Hope so. I say a bunch, 3 or 4 Joni Mitchells, including this one. And I've got most of Joni's. I was just hoping beyond hope that Blue was in that collection, but no luck. Hajara, Joni Mitchell. And Shannon D, if you haven't watched Shannon D's reviews of Joni's album, she's halfway through, a little over halfway through now. Interesting to learn more about these albums. I think I've got one copy of this one. This may be a little bit better though. There was a lot of Stephen Stills, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, etc. Maybe 7 or 8 of those. A couple of them I didn't have. I didn't have this one. I don't even remember this album. It looks like the cover of another one of their albums. This is Wind on the Water.
Think I'll stay around till I'm sick.
And the Crosby Nash Live album.
And when I leave,
some newer stuff, mid '80s, I guess, that I don't see as much of out there, especially in the wild. Simply Red.
You know,
I may end up keeping this album. I like their sound. You know, they came along after when I was not really collecting current music at the time. The Go-Go's, Belinda Carlisle. And this one's called Heaven on Earth. And this is from '87. So, yeah, this is latter day vinyl, the last days of vinyl there for a while. And then George Hatcher Band, Coming Home. Anybody know who George Hatcher is? No idea who he is. But he produced this, he arranged all the music, and sings vocals. He doesn't play an instrument on here. So that was interesting. Everybody loves a little Patsy Cline. Of course, I've got some Patsy Cline, but this is a really good greatest hits if you want to, get all the best put there in one spot. Here's a live Dave Mason. People have been doing a live list of live albums. Live Dave Mason. But here's the one that I was so glad to get. If you follow my channel, you know where my music tends to gravitate. This is Brother Oswald, and this is on Rounder, I believe. It should be. Yep, Rounder Records. And his name, of course, is Pete Kirby. Bashful Brother Oswald is what he was called. He was Roy Acuff's, had a little brain fart there, sorry, Roy Acuff's band member for many years, playing the dobro mainly, but other instruments as well. And this was recorded in 1972, and it's got Charlie Collins playing guitar on here. Of course, Brother Oswald is on dobro. Norman Blake, the great Norman Blake, playing second guitar, mandolin, and he actually does dobro on the Wabash Cannonball. And Tut Taylor playing the mandolin and dobro. They must have a bunch of dobros playing on Wabash Cannonball, because I can't imagine Brother Oswald not playing it. And Norman's playing it, and Tut is playing it all on the Wabash Cannonball. But this is, again, recorded in 1972, produced by Tut Taylor. So that's it. And so now I'll show you, I'll flip through real quick and let you see the other records I got, most of which will go to the record booth, a table there at Main Street Market in Lillington. So here's the bulk of what I picked up today. Sha-Na-Na, not my favorite band in the world. Beach Beat, nice that I picked this up because I had bought this recently online and it's got a skip in it. I only paid $1 for it online, so it's not worth that much, but I'm glad to get hopefully a clean copy of that. American Gigolo soundtrack, one of my mother's favorite albums right here. I think Mama had this in cassette originally, had the album, and later in her life she had the CD to go in her car. There's a couple of records outside the jackets there besides the ones I've already mentioned. Some James Taylor. There's his greatest hits. It's good. I always see this album about. All these are common records. There's no record in this jacket, the Ventures here.
Sea Level, offshoot of the Allman Brothers. John Stewart, Gino Vanelli, Al Stewart. I think Rachel showed this one, has highly recommended this one. I might end up keeping this one. England Dan and John Ford Coley. Styx, boy, we see this album everywhere. There's an Elton John, there's an America Live, there's another America album. Donna Summer, Queen of Soul, Queen of Disco. Sister Sledge. See this album everywhere, of course, but people enjoy it. So here's some sort of compilation of jazz. It looks like Spyro Gyra's on there. Tim Weisberg, David Sanborn, Mercy, Tim Weisberg, Bob James. I probably got 2 or 3 copies of this. I'm not sure who this fella is, but I just have a feeling it's some smooth jazz. I don't know. Gato Barbiera. You know, maybe not. Maybe that's something everybody's gonna go, oh man, you'll love that. There's another by him. Spyro Gyra. Best of Gershwin. Golden Encore. Tommy Dorsey. Andy Williams. See, some of these just, they won't sell anywhere. Here's some of that classical I was talking about. Jerry Vale. I Remember Buddy. Some Brahms. There's those Linda Big Band albums. Crusaders. Al Jarreau. A bunch of Chuck Mangione. And here's some more Joni Mitchell. Spark. Elton John. That's a really good album right there. Don't Shoot Me Out. Toto. Bee Gees. Atlanta Rhythm Section. A couple of Kansas too. Several Marshall Tucker bands. Chicago. Chicago is everywhere. That album right there, Netherlands, is everywhere. There's a Santana. Here's a live Outlaws album. Some more Outlaws. Billy Joel. Compilation. Soundtrack. Boy, that Frampton sure did sell a bunch of those, didn't he? Lionel Richie. Diana Ross. A bunch of those albums sold too. Pablo Cruz. Michael McDonald. Harry Chapin. There's another America. Hart. Aretha. Some Boss Gags. Christopher Cross. Jefferson Starship. I don't like the Starship. Average White Band. Seals and Croft. Jesse Colin Young. Several of his. There's 2 of those Crosby, Stills and Nash albums. There's another one. Crosby, Stills and Nash, Daylight Again. And there's So Far. And there's Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Stephen Stills. Another Stephen Stills. So that's what I picked up today.
All right, well, everybody. Oh, I got a lot accomplished this week already. Not even Friday yet. Got the grass cut. That's a big accomplishment. And got 2 doctor's appointments for me under my belt. Wife didn't have any this week. And got, let's see, that's a major thing when you retire, you get this much done. Got my flu shot. Folks, don't forget, get your flu shot. It's especially important if you're got a little age on you, like me, or if you have any pre-existing health issues, and especially with this COVID-19 going around, you don't want to get the flu during this time. It could, you know, all kinds of bad things could happen during flu season if you're not prepared. So unless you have problems with getting the flu shot for medical reasons or something, I really hope you'll go ahead and get your flu vaccine. so that it'll be one less thing hopefully you have to worry about this year, although they're not 100% foolproof, I know. Okay, but everybody, be kind to your neighbor, and remember, we're all neighbors.
Oh, we came to be happy again.